Hey everybody, so lately there's been lots of drama somehow with Elden Ring and whether or not it needs a pause button. Tweets and other things were being made making fun of this individual for asking for a pause button in Elden Ring because she considered having children to be a disability, a situational disability. This was taken a lot out of context and has been used to attack this person and lampoon her a lot, and a lot of people have made videos about it. So many people have misunderstood this situation and kind of attacked this individual so much that I decided to make this video because it kind of annoys me when things like this happen. So what exactly happened here? Let's listen along here. Did this person ask for a pause button because being a mother is a disability?
There are long-term disabilities. There are situational disabilities, there are temporary disabilities. It counts as a disability where a video game like Elden Ring is concerned if you have a kid. You have a 2-year-old, you're trying to play Elden Ring, you can't pause. That is a situational disability that you have, where the game not having the option for you to be able to pause, for example, is a hindrance for your particular disability a situation is concerned.
Okay, so she asked her a pause button because she had a child, and that was obviously a disability. But here's actually the problem with this and people like this and everybody who's making fun of everything like this. So as noted in this community note, and I actually did look through all this here, in the Microsoft Inclusive 101 guidebook, a situational disability is called something as people move through different environments, their abilities can also change dramatically. In a loud crowd, they can't hear well. In a crowd, they're visually impaired. New parents spend much of their day going tasks one-handed. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, here's the problem. Based on the Inclusiveness 101 guidebook from Microsoft, yeah, actually she would have a situational disability due to having a kid. And I think I kind of have to actually agree with this one. As a society and as childcare, and really, the way I'll put it is, as the birth rate continues to plummet, we as a society kind of need to actually start thinking about things like maybe we shouldn't be attacking mothers for having children and wanting to make their lives a little bit easier, because they're kind of like furthering the human race, which we need to do or we go extinct. So maybe this should be something as a society that we actually come together and actually make easier to do. And to be honest, I'm not really sure why anyone would be against it. I don't know why you're attacking anyone for being a mother. We kind of need that to happen. Secondly, I would then agree that yes, being a parent would be a situational disability when you have a 2-year-old. More to the point, a lot of people were attacking her because she was asking for the game to be easier. She was asking for the game to be easier. Of course she was. She was attacking, blah, 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 blah. Actually, the full title of the video was Elden Ring DLC is too hard, parentheses, it's not. That's literally the title. Elden Ring DLC is too hard, in quotes, it's not. She literally defends the DLC's difficulty, which I disagree with personally, but the thing is, she defends it and says it was not actually too hard, but instead was actually totally fine. So, what exactly is the problem here? Here's the thing that a lot of people don't know about as well. You actually can pause Elden Ring, and I'm going to go into why a lot of FromSoft games don't have pauses and things like that. There are some reasons for it, but I think a lot of them have been kind of archaic and don't really make sense anymore. But at the very least, I'm going to go into Elden Ring right now and show you guys that there actually is a pause button that can be employed. And I had to kind of think about an area I could show it. I could either show it with an enemy, which would be I mean, I suppose it wouldn't be that hard to find an enemy here, but the game is taking forever to load. But there's also other ways I can show it. And I'll show it in multiple ways, I suppose, so that you guys can understand that the game very much does actually have a pause button. It's just a little bit hidden and not really obvious, and honestly, they should just add a pause button to the game in the first place. But let's go through here. Does the game have a pause button? If you look into the distance, you can see thunder. Does everybody see that? You can see thunder. If you go into help, I'm bad at this. You go into help and you go into menu explanation. It actually pauses the game completely. You can see there's no thunder. There's nothing going on in the background. The game is not moving. The second I unpause, you can see that the thunder starts returning. We can take this a bit further. If I go, you know, there's an area right here with an enemy. I'll go right here and let's see if once again if we can actually pause the game in order to have a pause button. Because some of you are arguing, well, the games have never had a pause button, so of course they should continue to not have a pause button. But let's go right here. Let's see if we can do this. And once again, the game is 100% paused. Actually, this would probably have been easier to have done it. But you can see the game does have a pause button. 100%, irrefutable. There is a pause button in this game already. All you people attacking this individual and saying that she's a terrible person or she's trying to make Elden Ring too easy, guys, there is already a pause button in the game. You can see it right here. It's right in front of you. I promise you. Okay, so let's exit out of that for a second, okay? Mutahar later said she's asking for a pause button, not the wildest thing to implement. Also, as a PC gamer who had to pause during Elden Ring, here's a pro tip. Go to the task manager and just pause the process. That is really stupid, and this got 173,000 likes. Why? I don't know. Let me explain something to you guys. If you want to pause a process like Elden Ring, I'm gonna have to relaunch this game to try to show you this. If you want to try to pause a process like Elden Ring, this is really stupid advice because it's actually not the easiest and most obvious thing in order to do how to pause that. Not everyone is tech illiterate, not everybody is Windows illiterate. So just saying open up the Windows Manager and pause, most people are not gonna understand what the heck that means. I don't think Mutahar actually understood what that you actually could already pause in the game, but I don't know why I closed it here, but screw it, let's go through it again. Let's open up the game, let's resume it, okay? Let me grab my task manager right here. Okay, now let's wait for the game to launch, and you want to pause the process. How? Expand end task resource values, provide feedback, create dump file, go to details, open file location, search online properties. How do I do that? I personally do know how to do that, but what the heck is he talking about? Because, what? 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 Okay, I'm just gonna look past that. I just saw this and I had to talk about this because, like, dude, how is this helpful advice? This is like telling you, hey man, if you want to mix your paint, you just got to put two colors together. Oh, great. How do I get a specific color? Dude, you just got to get the color. Cool. Awesome. Interesting. There is an argument, and this is where I'm going to get into more technical details right here. There is an argument that adding a dedicated pause button would be bad because the games have PvP. They have invaders, they have things like that, and they've never had a pause button going all the way back to Demon Souls. They've never had a pause button. So let's look at Dark Souls 1, 2, 3, then Elden Ring on how you invade people. Because obviously, you can't have a pause button if other players can invade your world and try to kill you. That wouldn't work. So in Dark Souls 1, you got invaded. Blah 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 blah. If you are playing online while exploring in a non-hollow form, that world may be invaded by another player. This one's not too difficult to do. You frequently have to go human to do things like kindle a bonfire, and I think there's other things. They've never really made it very clear what being human does, do they? But you know, at the end of the day, you will get invaded every so often. It's not that common, but it can happen, and you know, maybe we don't have a pause button because you can be invaded. It's a loose, stupid argument, but sure. In Dark Souls 2, it is significantly easier to be invaded, and this is probably the game, most of all, that you would probably not want a pause button to be in the game. You can invade in Dark Souls 2 on anybody by using a cracked eye orb. Using a cracked red eye orb will cause a player to invade as a dark spirit within the same area the player is in. If the host is successfully killed, blah, 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 blah. You have a cooldown timer of 15 minutes on invasion, but here's the thing. You can invade someone at any time, at any point. During Dark Souls 2, you could be into forced PvP at any time. There's no restriction, there's no demand. Dark Souls 2 is a very PvP heavy game. So if we're looking at which of these games, and I'm going somewhere with this, so stick with me on this one. If we're going that we can't add a pause button because of PvP, in Dark Souls 1, maybe. In Dark Souls 2, sure. In Dark Souls 3, it works the same way as Dark Souls 1, except instead of becoming human, you become a host of embers. Great, cool, interesting. Sure, we don't want to add a pause button because sometimes you could have PvP. Great, cool, interesting. In Elden Ring, that's not how it works at all, and you have to manually opt into PvP. You cannot, in any way, be invaded unless you specifically ask for it. This whole we can't have a pause button because of PvP argument, which I've seen repeated a lot. I have seen this argument repeated a lot. There is absolutely no way in Elden Ring at present that I know about to invade someone who has not opted into it. You can invade people who have opted into it, but did you? Did you personally opt into it? You probably even forgot that invasions were in the game, didn't you? So, I guess just going back here to her asking for a pause button because she's a mother who needs to pause the game. Let me write down my answer here. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that just add the pause button. Seriously, I don't really know how this became like a huge debate or an argument or anything like that. Just add the pause button, dude. Just add the pause button. Archaic old design is stupid. It's always been stupid to have archaic old design. I went over literally the only argument I could possibly think against having like a pause button. Maybe the pause button should be like a little bit away, so you can't just like click a button and so you can like dodge. Maybe you need to like go into the menu, then click pause, so you can't like use it as a snap reaction to like kind of pause bad situations or get an advantage on the AI. Maybe, sure, fine. But like there should be a pause button that people know is there. It shouldn't be a jank mechanic you need to know. It shouldn't be some obscure command out of your control manager or anything like that, right? It should literally just be like, maybe you just go into like the menu and at the bottom is pause. So you go menu, scroll down, pause. So you can pause. You can't use it in a snap instant to get an advantage on anyone, but just pause. And I literally don't see any reason, any argument. And trust me, I looked through all of them and the PvP argument was the only one I could find. And it does not make sense in Elden Ring, because if you're not PvPing, then you just do not get forced into PvP ever. Sure, if you're PvPing, don't allow the pause. Like, gray it out, do something. Be like, no, dude, you can't pause. Like, there's another player in your world. Sure. But could anyone think of any argument against adding the pause button in the current game? Because I sure cannot think of any. So that's just me. Thank you for watching. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.